Hey, welcome to the happy hour. My name is George, and today we've got a treat for you. We have somebody who really knows Miami, Sarah Desamours from Douglas Elliman. She has her own luxury real estate team down there. We're going to learn so much more about her. But what I know of her, she's a super agent, super mom. But Sarah, please tell everybody a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do. Let's hear it.
Well, thanks so much for having me, George. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate it. And you got my name right. So I'm proud of you for that one.
A lot of practice.
So I'm originally from Montreal, Canada. So my background was in mortgages and wealth management, more in the banking side. When I came to Miami, I decided to venture into real estate. I started full time and I started in 2015. So I'm close to 10 years. I'm at 9 years in. Started from scratch, didn't know anyone here, really started from the bottom. Drake said started from the bottom, now we're here. So, I went through the whole door knocking, cold calling. That's actually how we met. You and I met because we would do role playing for cold calling for expired listings and for sell by owners. So, went through all that. I still cold call. I still do all these things. Now I have a small team. I have a full-time assistant. We sell residential real estate in South Florida, Miami and Fort Lauderdale, mostly Miami.
Absolutely. Love it. Love hearing all that. I didn't know you had a mortgage and a financial background. That's awesome to hear. And I've known you for quite a long time, so that's great. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into these questions. So the first one, I'm dying to know this. So you're a very successful luxury real estate agent. You mentioned almost 9, 10 years now, and you're a super mom. I got to ask, how do you do it?
So that's a great question. One of the mistakes that I made that I would tell people, to try to not to make that mistake if they can. I'm a single mom. I became a single mom very early on when my daughter was very young. And coincidentally, that's the time I decided to become a realtor. One of the things I would tell people is don't be afraid to delegate, whether you have kids or not, okay? There's realtors that started at the same time as me, and they won't even hire a transaction coordinator for their deals, right? And you see the difference between the realtors who are able to delegate and the realtors who don't delegate anything at all. Even if you don't have a lot of money, even if you don't have a big budget, it's easy to you can get a virtual assistant in another country, like maybe Philippines, for example, or you can get a transaction coordinator who handles your deals and you pay them when the deal closes only. It's not like you have to pay them at the beginning, right? From early on, one of the things that was very important to me and the toughest thing for me at the beginning was also with my daughter, because I remember getting into coaching and then my coach told me, like, I know you're trying to look for an assistant and you're looking for a VA and whatnot, but look for a nanny first. Like, look for someone to help you with your daughter first, because you're wasting a lot of time with a lot of the drop off and pickups and waiting and things like that. When it comes to balance and whatnot, I think you can only achieve that with delegation. So if you have a partner, if you're not a single mom like me, if you have family members, don't be afraid to ask for help. The worst someone can say is no. And I was able to get an awesome tribe of not just of family members, but also other moms, other parents, other realtors that have kids. We always help each other out. So please, please, please delegate.
Absolutely. I love that answer. So to do it all, delegate, don't sweat the small stuff and just keep things moving. I love that answer. So, here's something. I know you, like you said, I think you're uber successful. I know a lot of people don't like to call themselves that, but seeing what you've done in Miami, I'm very curious. Why are so many people continuing to invest in Miami, even with prices going up and up? What do you think it is?
So having lived in different places, right? I fully understand why everyone invests and comes to Miami. So Miami is one of the only cities, and we're not just Miami, but I would say South Florida, even where you are, just the places where there's beaches, just in general, right? Those places, what makes it different from New York or California or Arizona and whatnot, is that this is the perfect place for a second home. More than half of my clients that own properties in Miami, they're not here full time. They still live in Canada. I'm French Canadian, right? My mother tongue is French. So I have a lot of French Canadian clients. They live in Canada, but they own property here. I think this is the only place in the US where you find so many people who own vacation homes. And it's also the place where retirement wise, a lot of people come here to retire or purchase a property even when they're younger. And the goal of that property is for them to retire later on because they want to retire in the warm weather. They want to retire by the beach, by the water. It's great weather to just relax and to come on vacation, right? And also investment wise, it's amazing because there's so many big companies that keep coming to Miami, especially since COVID. There's no state income tax in Florida, as you know. So many of the big companies are moving part of their head offices or their full head offices in Miami. So because of that, whether you're an investor or an end user, there's always going to be activity and the prices are going to keep going up. We are in a city that keeps growing. So the more growth that there is, the more cranes you see, the more money, the more people are coming. So I personally think that's why people love coming here and they love investing here. My parents have been investing here since the 2000s, since the early 2000s. And of course there was a crash and everything, but everybody that invests here, people are usually happy with their investment.
Absolutely. And could you mention what's the one area right now that you're seeing the most growth?
It's funny because I'm about to release a video, so you're getting the heads up. So
Right.
the number one area, and it's going to surprise a lot of people, it's North Bay Village.
Okay.
North Bay Village. I have no hesitation. I'm 100% on that one. It's North Bay. It's not Miami Beach. It's not downtown. It's not Brickell. It's not Edgewater. It's North Bay Village because now is the time to invest in North Bay Village. Not next year, not the year after. Like, it's waterfront and there's no land and there's only 2 pre-construction projects. They're changing that area completely.
And for those not familiar with Miami, where would you say North Bay Village is in terms of
So it's close to North Beach. So there's Miami Beach. It's like a little island off of 79th Street, which if you look at a map, you're kind of like, oh, it's not the best area. That's what you want. You want those areas that you go, those are the places you need to invest in because if you're making changes later on, they're going to go up in value.
I mean, look at Wynwood 10 years ago. I mean, that was
even now,
place to go through. Yeah.
Even now, some people are like, oh, Wynwood, but look at Wynwood, you can't even get a commercial space now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, that's great. I like getting the sneak peek into your video early, so that's great. So this is I'm curious about because I know how successful you are. What's one thing right now that you're better at than your competition?
Customer service.
Yeah.
Customer service, and not just because I'm Canadian. So, Canadians are known for customer service, which when I moved here, I realized why. I understood why, because I came here and I said, why are people like this? Unfortunately, there's a big lack in customer service in South Florida. I don't know about the rest of Florida. I don't know how it is in your area, but I know, especially in Miami, it's something that was a huge culture shock for me. And the way that I operate my business, every single interaction that I have with every client, the expectation I set for myself and my team, and with my team, I mean, even the attorneys I work with, the inspectors, the lenders, listen, every interaction, I want to feel like if I was the client, I would go and give a 5-star review. So I always put myself in the shoes of the client. I always put myself in the shoes of the consumer. The way that I respond, the way that I set up my systems, the way that I send emails, the way that I automate some things, it's really so that the customer can have customer service excellence. So that's something that a lot of people don't do. So a lot of people just wing it and do everything. But I set that expectation not only for myself, but for my entire team. That's a non-negotiable for me. So
when you say customer service, are you talking about more, and again, because I hear this all the time from agents and people who deal with agents, is it communication first?
Communication first, and also details. A lot of details. I come from a banking background, which helps me a lot in real estate because when it comes to emails, my emails are very thorough. There's bullet points, bold characters. It's very, very clear every single step of the way, whether you started the process in buying or selling with me or not. Even if it's just an appointment you're taking with me, you're getting a calendar invite, you're getting text reminders that are automated. I'm just very on point for every single thing that I have, whether it's someone who's looking to do a consultation with me or a realtor wanting to send me a referral. I have a checklist for that. Even if a realtor sends me a referral, they're going to get emails from me. They're going to get a jot form. I'm super organized.
I love it. And you hear that all the time. Everybody who I've ever run into that has a checklist, has a process, they're always successful. Always.
Yeah.
I don't care what business they're in.
It takes a long time. It takes a long time to create, and I keep changing them. Of course, as time goes, new systems come in, policies change, or I see something isn't working or the way that I want it to. I'm always changing it, but creating your initial checklist for every single thing, it takes time, but it's totally worth it.
Like when I was at the Ritz-Carlton, they had their everything that's my background for the hotels. Everything was the POS. Everything.
Wow.
So I agree
It should
with
be
that.
like that in our business too, because that's what makes you different than every other realtor in Miami. Because I've seen things, I've experienced things with other realtors when I first moved here, and I said, no, there's no way. There's no way.
But that's great. You saw something, it didn't fit what you're going to do, and you decided, hey, I'm not going to be like the rest of everyone else. I'm going to set my own path. I love that.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
Here's something. Being as smart as you are, I want to know this. If you could go back in time, we'll get you a time machine. You get to talk to your 18-year-old self. But there's one thing. You only have 1 minute. What are you going to say?
To my 18-year-old self?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I would tell her, like my 18-year-old self, I would just tell her to do a lot of self-work. Now, start young with self-work. Start young with reading books, going to retreats where you're working on your mental health. Start young to, when it comes to drinking less, and just working on yourself as a person to be a better person, because that is the foundation to life. You can be the best business person. You can make the most amount of money, but if you're a shitty person and if you're miserable inside, you're going to be, every single day is going to be agony for you. So I went through something a couple of years ago where I got so overwhelmed with real estate, with work and with everything. And I didn't really prioritize rest. I didn't prioritize traveling and vacation. I didn't prioritize sleep. And it started affecting my health. It started affecting my health very heavily. And in 2022, I took a lot of time off. I think 2022, I only worked maybe 7 or 8 months during the year. I took a lot of time off because I was almost forced to take time off for mental health reasons, for health reasons. So I always tell myself, had I known what I know today, like you can have a cumulative, you can accumulate the self-work that you do. So by the time you're 30, 35, which is, I'm in my 30s, you're better. You're in a better state of mind. You're more relaxed. You know how to practice mindfulness. You know how to meditate. All of these things that I'm telling you I think are necessary in our business, because if you don't take time off, if you don't get enough sleep, at one point you might collapse. It's a lot of work, and also dealing with people every single day can get to your head. Prioritizing mindfulness, prioritizing time off. That's very important. Realtors that say, I'm available 24/7. Okay, it might sound great, but long term, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for you. It's not sustainable for your relationships. It's not sustainable for your family. It's not sustainable for your health. So it's so important to take time off. So I would tell my 18-year-old self, work on loving yourself. Work on just growing and becoming a better person, reading, traveling, starting yoga early, starting meditation very early, very, very young.
So invest in yourself at an early age.
Yeah. Invest in yourself, but not just on the business side. A lot of times in real estate, it's business. No, on the mental health self aspect, because that's the foundation to your business. If you're a happy person and if you're good, everything else is going to flourish.
100%. If you're internally battling yourself every day because you're not happy internally, you're right. Maybe on the outside everything looks good, but if you're fighting it every single day, and that is talking to your head every day.
I know successful realtors that their wives hate them, their kids don't talk to them, or they have no friends, they don't have relationships. I don't want to be that person. I think that there's a way to create some type of balance, and that's by prioritizing mental health in your life, in your family life, and rest, especially rest. Because if you only sleep 4 or 5 hours per night, cumulatively, you're going to have other issues.
Well, I love that answer. You're definitely right. Invest in yourself, like I said, not just money, overall everything. That's great.
Yeah.
So, talking about yourself, you have an opportunity to get one superpower. Sarah, what is it?
I would get a money tree. A
Money
tree
tree.
that, you know how when they say money doesn't grow on trees? I would get a money tree that provides unlimited money because, and it's not for me, it's not like I don't want people to start thinking, oh my God, she's so selfish. She just wants all that money to know. Because I think, everyone who says all those bad expressions about money and that it's the root of all evil, blah, 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 I don't believe it because any problem that you have, there's some sort of solution that can be created with money. You're sick, right? Let's say you have an illness. You want to see the best doctor in the world, but that doctor is like in Turkey. If you don't have money, if you only have insurance in the States, you can't do that, right? You have a family member who's having problems financially. You can help them. You have a kid who's super talented in a sport, super, super talented, but they've outgrown their soccer team or whatever. You need to hire a private coach for them to grow. You need money for that. You have a super smart kid, you want to put them in the best schools, right? And sometimes putting your kid in the best schools means you might have to live in a certain neighborhood, right? You have a parent who's sick, or you have a parent who can't take care of themselves anymore. You have to put them somewhere. You have to hire someone to help them out. That's money. So money is something that if you have it in an unlimited way, you can invest in yourself, you can invest in others, you can be charitable, you can help others, it can help with even your mental health, you can hire the best therapist, you can hire the best business coach, you can go on the best retreats in the world. It can just provide a better experience for you and everyone around you. So I think that would be my superpower.
Yeah, I think it's a great superpower to have. I think we all want money trees. I love that.
I wouldn't mind.
I joke around, but it's like this episode's definitely going to be called Sarah Knows Miami, and this is what I need your knowledge on. What's your favorite part of Miami and why? Whether it's to sell in, to live in, to love life in, what part of Miami is that for you?
Hands down, where I live now, Coconut Grove.
Yeah.
So, have you been to Coconut Grove?
Yes.
Yeah, it's my favorite neighborhood. Back then, it was like the hot spot where all the clubs were. But Coconut Grove, I think, is like a little piece of paradise. You're close to everything. You're close to downtown. You're close to Brickell. You're close to Coral Gables and everything. But Coconut Grove, you have the water, and there's so much nature there. And there's also so much culture. It was the Bahamians. It's the first town that they discovered in Miami. It was actually the first established city in Miami. So there's so much history and culture. But just walking around the Grove, if anyone ever comes to Miami, just drive around Coconut Grove. There's so many trees. There's so much nature. You almost feel like you're on an island in the Caribbean. But at the same time, you're like 10 minutes away from Brickell. It's crazy. If you want to walk by the water, you can do that. And, what I like about the Grove also is that the Grove, to live there and to buy a property or whatnot, it's pretty pricey. I think it's one of the most expensive zip codes in Miami. But everyone who lives there is like in flip-flops and Birkenstocks. People are so down. The crowd here is so down to earth and chill that you don't feel like, oh, I'm living in a more expensive place. It's just, everyone's just so chill. There's a farmer's market every Saturday. It's just such a cool vibe, such a cool city. Definitely my favorite place in Miami.
Yeah, Coconut Grove's outstanding. Now, how close are you to Monty's and all that during that section of it?
Like 5 minutes.
Okay, yeah, that's it. And I think there's a
Monty's
right there.
Next to Compass. Yeah, it's next to Compass. I love Monty's. They have the best happy hour.
And then finally, what's your favorite place for happy hour? Where do you go just to get a drink, socialize? What's your favorite spot?
It's funny because I haven't drank a lot recently because I did a challenge called 75 Hard. Do you know about it?
Mm-hmm.
I did 75 hard and I'm at like 100 plus days. And last night I had like a little bit of wine and I haven't had wine in like 3 months, right? So I haven't drank in forever. But it's funny that you mentioned Monty's. Monty's is one of my top favorite places for happy hour. Just because they have $1 oysters, $1 shrimp, and amazing drinks. I think some of the drinks are like half off. It's so good. There's a little band playing. You're by the water. You can see all the boats. It's such a good vibe. And plus you're in the Grove. So and their oysters are really good. It's super fresh. So if you like seafood, that's my favorite. It's not fancy. It's not fancy at all, but it's the best place I think for happy hour.
Yeah, and if your watchers haven't seen it, just Google it. It's a fantastic place. You're right there on the water. It's chill. It's funny you mentioned that place. 'Cause that used to be back in the day. That used to be the University of Miami's like hotspot on Thursday night. You'd find football
It's funny,
players
but you
there.
know who likes going there? My parents. My parents, like, that's their spot. They're like, when I was at Compass before Elliman and it was next to Monty's, my parents were like, hey, we're at Monty's. You want to come? I'm like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Like a
love it.
staple, you know, in Coconut Grove.
Oh, really? It's been there forever. Well, I
Mhm.
want to thank you so much for this. What we're going to have here, you should see it on the screen somewhere. You're going to see Sarah's information. If you have any questions about Miami, anything at all, hit her up. Goes right through IG if you want. Message her. I'm sure she'll get back to you as soon as she can. But again, we want to thank you so much for this. This is so much fun. Sarah knows Miami. We got our title. This is a great episode. So thanks again. Thanks everybody out there. Like, subscribe. We're going to get more people like Sarah on here. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you for having me.